it's nice we're getting together. We've had 2 meetings canceled just for the fact that we're not conducting any business, and I just thought it was important tonight to have a meeting and just have some topics that we could talk about. So the first thing we'll do, we'll approve the minutes of the November 23rd meeting. Did anyone have a chance to look at them? Any comments? Anything? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and approve them. All in favor?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. It looks, I'm guessing unanimous. Okay. All right. And Penny, thank you. Thank you for doing this today.
Oh, no problem. Happy to do it.
Okay. So the next topic will be our health director, David Knopf. He's going to give us an update. I asked him to talk a little bit about the big picture of the budget at the state level, his concerns, and also how that affects our town. And then, of course, David, you can talk about other things as well. So take it away.
Well, there's no shortage of things to discuss. It's been quite a year. It's been a year now since our first case in town. I don't know, some 1,200 plus cases later. I don't know if folks have been following our weekly summaries, but I'll be going over that in more detail at the RTM meeting later on. One of the things that I'm concerned about right now is the fact is that this COVID response has fallen largely on the shoulders of local health departments throughout the state of Connecticut. And local health in Connecticut has been perennially underfunded. We operate on a staff of 2 full-time persons in town. And in addition to our mandated responsibilities, now we've taken on responding to a pandemic. And the state has basically directed local health to be in charge of the pandemic response. And interestingly enough, going forward, looking at the governor's budget proposal for this year, local health department funding is proposed to be level from last year, which is level from the year before, which is actually less than the year before that. And that's all well and good, but the town of Darien gets no money from the state for the local health department. The way the laws are in Connecticut is that you have to have a population of over 50,000 in order to be eligible for any state funding for local health departments. We think that's not a good representation of what public health is supposed to be. What we, and I say we, my colleagues, Connecticut Association of Directors of Health, have been lobbying for and looking for and pushing for not only funding for all health departments, but an increase to reflect the responsibilities that we've taken on. We have no idea of when our needed response to the COVID crisis is actually going to be, and it's likely that our needed staffing and response for clinics will go at least through the fall, and who knows longer. We don't know. Nobody knows, right? And, so the clinic piece is only one part of it. But there's every facet of society is calling to try to figure out what they need to do. And, we're constantly, the questions that come in from business folks and from the residents, it's nonstop, it's relentless. And with level funding, as I said, we have a staff of really 2 full-time people and an office administrator that until today has been out on maternity leave, has left us, working really hard, I'll put it that way. But in spite of that, since January 20th, we've administered almost 3,000 doses of vaccine. Of that, 900, almost 1,000 of that is either Johnson & Johnson or the second dose. So, and the problem with the Moderna, which is the other vaccine that we get, is that, you know, we did 700 teachers or so a couple weeks ago. We still have to do 700 again. So, you know, anytime we do one dose with Moderna, we actually have to do two. So it's twice as much work. And we're not getting any more Johnson & Johnson. We had 200 and we used it. We're almost done with it now. And we're stuck with doing double the work. But we're doing it. And as I said, you know, I'm pleased to report that we have the teachers pretty much done. We did the nursery school teachers. We did the over 75 group. We did outreach to the homebound. We did, I don't know, 10, 12 homebound folks last week who can't get to any of our clinics. So we're doing a good job in responding to the crisis. What I had asked for from our advisory board of health and from our selectmen and from our local legislators is some support to provide for an increase funding for local health departments throughout the state. It just to expect local health departments to rely on volunteers for the foreseeable future. Really, that's how this is being done, pretty much by volunteers. I don't think is realistic, you know. And you know, we need to have people that are getting paid. We need to have staff that are going to run these clinics. We're relying on volunteers. They've been fantastic so far. We've had a great group of people, but we can't rely on them forever. And you know, I just think that it's critical that we do have some grants, but we have one grant that ran out 1st of March. And that's statewide. And I don't know where the rest of the money's going. I've heard talk about a lot of money coming, federal money coming to the state, but the state seems to kind of need it for whatever it is the state does. And it doesn't filter down that much to local health. So anyway, part of my pitch today is to see if we can get support from you folks to, you know, lobby on our behalf for some funding for local health, not just our department, but statewide, because we're all in it together. And I'll take any questions if you know, I'm going to give, as I said, I'll give a bigger rundown and we'll go over the weekly report when I speak with the RTM later on.
Yeah, Jim?
Yeah, David, thank you. I got my second shot last week. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. And I think so many town residents are so grateful that they can get their vaccination at town hall or the senior center instead of schlepping up to Lord and Taylor and sitting in line or someplace else. So kudos to you. You know, the governor proposes, the legislature disposes. The governor's budget is a proposal is just that. Have you had any feedback from our state representatives and state senators on other lawmakers' attitudes towards improving funding for local health departments?
I haven't, and I haven't been directly engaged with the legislators other than to send a copy of our association's request for that funding, but I haven't heard anything back on that request.
Is the association doing anything to coordinate lobbying efforts among folks like yourself in the other towns or advisory boards of health, et cetera? I mean, it sounds like if there was a loud, concerted effort in public relations and media, this might get a little more traction.
Yeah.
Amidst all the other stuff that's being debated now in Hartford.
Unfortunately for all of us, you know, we have the day-to-day operations that we're focused on, and it's really hard to carve out the amount of time that lobbying necessitates.
Yeah.
As a past president of the organization, you know, I understand that. And, you know, you never know when you sign up for testifying, even now with virtual, when you're actually going to testify, and you know, you have to be there and, you know, or be present. So it's really difficult. especially now, to have a strong presence. I know our organization's there, and we have a quote lobbyist working on our behalf, but it's really hard to have the presence that we really admittedly should have right now.
Okay, thanks.
Wish I had more time.
Yeah, Lois.
David, thank you so much for everything. I mean, I think it's a nice, I sit back and watch all the stuff that's going on. And I'm just, I go like, okay, but if I need it, you guys are all there. So that's pretty cool. But is there something that we can help with and target to? And for example, there's all the stuff going on this week up in Hartford, and a lot of people have been focused on addressing them. So is there some bill or some time or some date or something that people can really focus on and at least write some letters and stuff, and rather than just random, rather than just sending out something at some point in time?
What I can do is provide you with an address to the Appropriations Committee, because I think it's the Appropriations Committee and the Public Health Committee. And I can provide Mac with that, and he can circulate that.
And also some time frame when they're going to be addressing things, because I from having done some other stuff, like to write it when they're going to be focused on it, and not just send it out now. And if they're going to look at it in 3 weeks, they're going to forget that they got it, or it's not going to pay any attention.
Well,
so if anything you have along those lines.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that we might have already missed our opportunity.
Okay.
So, but I'll check into that, see if there's any point in going forward. I just, thought that it was important for us to recognize the bind that we're in locally, local health department wise. But I know that the public hearing for the Appropriations Committee has already passed. But I think they'll accept testimony if we have some.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Rob.
How much money do you need, David? I mean, well, in ballpark, not to the dollar or anything, but in order to make the department whole, how much is it lacking?
Well, I think it's lacking a person, so, and I think what it's lacking is realistic, balanced funding from the state that would enable us, currently our nurse, for example, is budgeted 10 hours a week. That doesn't enable us to do much for any kind of public health programming, even in non-COVID times. So, and I think we're fortunate because there's a lot of that's available throughout the community. So it hasn't been a huge demand. So we've been making do because we're very efficient with how we function. But realistically speaking, I think, we could stand to have balance throughout our department. We have another part-time inspector, we have a part-time nurse, we have a part-time emergency preparedness person who's really fully funded by grant, who's been fantastically helpful through this whole process. But I think that if we had enough money to fund a person more hours, it doesn't have to be, I know a full-time person is probably somewhere around $100,000.
Okay. So if I said 250, you're going to be, someone can help me out here. My question is, if our health department in the worst pandemic ever or in anybody's lifetime is without the resources it needs to provide our citizens what they need, why is the town not just appropriating more money rather than worrying about the state and going there with our hand out?
Yeah, no, this is a long,
not a lot of money.
Right. It's not about, it's about a longer term issue with the state underfunding local health departments. I don't see it as being that much of a problem with the community, and the Board of Selectmen have been very clear in saying, whatever you need, you can get. This is a pandemic, so we are making do, and we have enough grant money, and it's a temporary situation. But when it's all said and done, there's still some needs that aren't being met from the state perspective. I think our local financing for what we've done up till now is okay. It's okay. So I don't want you to think that I'm thinking that we're underfunded locally, but we're not.
I'm not concerned with by whom you're being underfunded, just that you're underfunded. And it just seems to me that this town has the resources so that you wouldn't be underfunded.
Yeah, Jim.
I don't know how that works. I mean, can the town just say, you know what, we need to appropriate X dollars to the health department this year, right now?
Go ahead,
Can they
Jim.
do that?
Robbie, I think it's two separate issues. One, I mean, as David has said, the Board of Selectmen is giving him the money he needs right now during the pandemic. I don't think David has gone to the Board of Selectmen and requested an increase in the permanent headcount for his department, which should be a whole other issue, unless he's also expressing concern if there was more funding coming from the state, that would make that kind of additional personnel possible. And so I don't think there's any doubt that we're getting through this adequately, and we'll find the funding, we'll fill up the gaps later. But I think the point he's making is that going forward, there should be an increased recognition of the importance of public health in preparing for these black swan kind of events, but also using the personnel from an educational point of view, doing more restaurant inspections or doing more public education campaigns, et cetera. So it's two separate issues. You know, the town's budget, which they are very reluctant to increase headcount with, because that, you know, when that person's hired, they never go away, versus finding more money from the state, which would allow that kind of additional staffing. Am I summarizing it correctly, David?
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
David, what you offered would be great to get us something that we could kind of give us a homework assignment that we could work on and, you know, create a statement, and then we could, you know, either hold on to it or forward along at the proper time.
Okay. I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
David,
great.
I'd be happy to help coordinate with you and the folks in the state office, because we can do a little public relations and organize this so it's not just one voice coming out of, or one committee coming out of Darien. But I'd be happy to help you get some local media on this as well too.
Okay, fantastic.
Great. Well, thank you, David, and
All right.
we'll hear from you within an hour.
I'll be back, as they say.
Well, thank
All
you.
Thank
See
you.
you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Lois, we've got you next to give us an update on the 7-Eleven and the traffic aspects.
Okay, I think the first thing I want to do is share my screen and show you, well, I'll give you a background and then I'll show you the traffic
Sure.
response. So the issues are have been in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning and Zoning. And Jim, if I need a little adjustment on some of this, let me know. So the Zoning Board of Appeals has looked at, and they have already opined on it, and they, I don't know what the term is, they declined it 5-0. Okay, and the three things that that was on their plate was 2 having to do with signage, and 1 having to do with the ability to have a gas station at that site. And exactly the wording, I don't really know, but they did this at their February, a meeting a while ago, and the 7-Eleven has the right to appeal, and the appeals go to the Stamford Town Court. They don't go within our town. And there's a certain window for appealing the declining of the signs, and that's passed, and they did not appeal that. The appeal dealing with the right to have a gas station at that site I think it's a 65, no, I got the wrong one. 45, well, there's a window there that's up in about early April. So we don't know whether or not they're going to appeal that. But the interesting thing part of that is that if they appeal, it goes at the courts, it goes into the court system. Okay, so that's the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Planning and Zoning Commission has several different, well, they are still in discussion. The public comment is supposed to close tomorrow night. Once it closes, they have 65 days to reach a decision. And the public hearing is supposed to close tomorrow night, but they have until March 31st to close the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, they have 65 days to issue an opinion on the whole thing. And that's where they are. There's extensive information if anybody wants to read details. There's over 100 documents. It's all on the Planning and Zoning Commission's site, as well as all of the stuff that Jim and team have recorded and in meetings. And most of the meetings, when they're talking about the 7-Eleven, there have been at least 100 people in attendance without pictures, fortunately. But anyway, so that's going on. There are, let's see if I can get this right. The discussion has to do with, I guess the three, well, anyway, there's three issues that they're talking about. They need variances in order to, at that site, have a gas station, a combination of a gas station, convenience store, and quick serve restaurant. Those are not permitted in that zone, the way it's been established. I think I have that right. I don't know if it's individually they're not permitted, but in combination they're not permitted. And there's a lot of legalese. I will leave that too. And there's some excellent presentations on that. The other thing that's come to play very strongly is the discussion on traffic. And I'm going to switch right now. I'm going to share my screen and show you. I can do this well. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the legal traffic authority for the town. And there's a traffic expert from 7-Eleven and a traffic expert that was hired by the town. I mean, the basic summary, and this is very strong. Let's see if maybe I need to, yeah. That they've said that based on the professional opinion, there would be a significant negative impact to traffic. I can't see, I have, trying to figure out how I make this smaller, but maybe not. It's significant to the traffic in and around the site. And based on these reasonable and straightforward traffic results, the Darien Legal Traffic Authority is not in favor of this project's approval solely from a traffic perspective. And just quickly, the three things that they talk about one of them has to do with turns out of the site and the increased traffic and volume compared to what's going on with the current situation, and that there could be wait times of 1 to 2 minutes. And there's discussions about whether they make left turns and impact on Birch Road and just the traffic on the post road. And they talk about a prime time, a morning period and an afternoon period. Nothing was done about Saturdays because they felt like they didn't have any information. The second part of the discussion was that the traffic volumes on the exit 13, the southbound exit 13 positioning, coming off exit 13, whether it would block the roads, how the cars merge at that site, and also cross over with the people that are going south on the post road and want to go south on exit 13, get on the highway at exit 13. So there's a lot of crossover. And also that there was no discussion about Saturdays and the impact that the Saturdays would have on Darien in general, because there's a lot of traffic in Darien. As we know, I think they talk about that in Norwalk on Saturdays. It's really backed up all over the place, including backed up to exit 13. So this would just make that worse without a whole lot of information. So that's basically, and then I just saw one that the chief of police was going to work one day, and there were two delivery trucks, the huge delivery trucks that were coming south on 13 that were stopped. One was stopped in the middle and one was stopped in 13, and basically covered the whole length, not only the exit 13, middle part where they're turning, but also the traffic that's supposed to go through on those lanes. And he just totally had that captured. And that was just in the morning. That wasn't a high traffic, period. So the concerns were raised all over the place. There were a lot of people that talked about it. Some of the other, like David Genovese, was very supportive of the concerns about the development and what impact it would have on the whole area and the neighborhood and things like that. So that's a lot of it. I think I'm summarizing basically where it is. We shall.
Lois, was there any discussion of the aspect of it being open 24 hours?
Not that I saw. Jim, did you see anything about 24 hours?
I don't think so. It's not the overnight hours that they're worried about, certainly from a traffic point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Could I add one thing to what Lois said? David Genovese made a very interesting point, and that was that the neighbors who have organized to try and have their voice be heard had a real hard time finding any traffic consultant who would agree to work for them to do a study of their own, because that would mean alienating themselves from all kinds of potential business from 7-Eleven across the state in the Northeast. So they're relying, I believe, on the police department's traffic consultant, which probably he would have come up with the same sort of result. But I think it just speaks to the power of developers to, how do I put this carefully, being recorded, monopolize important, otherwise objective assets in determining the truth of what's going on is the impact of their proposals.
And I think in addition to that, in that same conversation, Jim, that they were talking about the fact that all this information is based on 2016, and none of it really takes into account the use of apps. And 7-Eleven has an app. And just as we were in the middle of this, because I had searched 7-Eleven on my phone one day, all of a sudden I popped something, the nearest 7-Eleven to you, and it was in New Jersey someplace, which was really bizarre. And that wasn't the 7-Eleven app. That was just random ad kind of thing. So, there's a whole school of thinking of how different it will be if it goes in effect with the use of the technology that's in place to draw traffic to a site. And that was totally not addressed in any of the studies that have been done, that talked about.
I think one of the things that was testified was that 7-Eleven has a track record of undercutting the cost of gasoline on the local market. So they will be a very attractive alternative, especially compared to the price on the service areas. I mean, nobody buys gas at the service areas on I-95 who lives locally because they know how much more expensive it usually is. But if the apps, whether it's Gas Buddy or 7-Eleven's own app or whatever, I think one of the signs they wanted to put up would be visible from the turnpike itself. Would definitely attract cost-conscious motorists to get off the highway and come to their service station to save, considerable amounts per gallon. Anyhow, the final P&Z public hearing, or what P&Z hopes will probably be the final public hearing, starts at 7:30 tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and will be carried live and in living color on TV 79. So,
and also, thanks, Jim, because a lot of all the other ones are there too, and they're very interesting to listen to. Certain speakers, like the lawyer and the physicians of some of the people that have done the analysis and presented that. I think a very interesting article, information if people want to look at it.
Right.
Can I ask just a question for my own knowledge? Like, how does the I think they were called the Zoning Board of Appeals impact the overall process? Like, if they already said no, how does it keep going?
If P&Z says no, you can appeal it to the Zoning Board of Appeals. If the Zoning Board of Appeals says no, then it goes to the courts. If P&Z says no, it probably would just go straight to the courts.
Okay.
And the cost of defense of the town's P&Z decision, I believe, is borne by the town, not by the developers. So if P&Z, let's just say hypothetically, P&Z says thumbs down. Town Council Wayne Fox is, going to have dollar signs in his eyes because the meters are going to start ticking. It'll be very expensive to defend the town's decision. I think that's probably, I'm just guessing here, I guess that's why P&Z is trying to make their decision as ironclad as possible, so it will be defensible in court. But they could lose in court as well too.
And no, we
So-
don't know what 7-Eleven's going to do.
Yeah.
There's a whole street, there's a whole spectrum of what they could do, and we'll see.
Lois, thank you. It seems like what we did was helpful. I mean, we did not take a position on whether or not we want 7-Eleven there, but we certainly expressed the concern about the traffic aspects.
Safety.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Lois.
Thank you.
So Jim, thank you for everything you've been doing with Channel 79, and we appreciate you giving us an update.
Well, I'm flattered. I don't know why I'm on this agenda because I guess you're running out of stuff to talk about, right? Just very quickly, Channel 79 has been carrying on for a full year. We haven't missed a beat. We've covered 99% of every single meeting that's occurred. We've had weeks where we had 18 different meetings. The good news is they're all do-it-yourself now. They're all GoToMeeting or Zoom. And my poor camera operators who, are, struggling students trying to make a little extra pin money here and there, they've earned like nothing because there's no work for them these days. So we're saving the town a ton of money on our camera operations and videography. But, it's all on Vimeo. We've just finished doing a viewer survey, which we'll be publicizing shortly, which shows the viewing patterns. Do people watch live on TV 79? Do they go to the Vimeo? Which kind of meetings do they watch? And it's all been very rewarding, I have to say. Also, from a public health point of view and safety, I've been able to get all kinds of informational short videos. We posted one that we got from our friends in New Canaan, TV 79, a program that was done with Waveney, and the doctor from he's the head of epidemiology at Stanford Health. We've been running, constant updates, public service announcements, from social distancing to masks to get your vaccinations. So we're trying to use TV 79 as an informational and persuasive tool with facts and science to motivate people to stay healthy. So that's, we've been doing all that. And, I think it's great because people who've been locked up at home, thanks to our new computer Castus system, we used to run 6 meetings a week over and over and over again, the same meeting, same time, every day. Now I have over 100 evergreen meetings from the Darien Men's Association, Greenwich Men's Association, Weston Historical Society, Save the Sound, Sound Waters. We're running all kinds of different informational programming of a community nature relevant to people in Darien. And the survey was the first indication we had, because we get no Nielsen ratings, that people are watching and they're tuning in. They must be so desperate that they've watched everything on Netflix that they're finally working their way up to Channel 79 to see not only the town meetings, but also these community public affairs meetings as well, too. So thank you for your support, and I appreciate your continued viewing patterns. And if you don't get the program guide, let me know, and I'll make sure you're added to the list, which is now over 1,100 names. Thanks, man.
No, thank you, Jim. The program guide is great. I mean, I look at that when you send it out. I think we get it on Fridays?
Friday afternoon. Yeah.
No, that's really helpful.
The program guide is, I have to say, it's more accurate than the town website calendar. Because if you look at the town website calendar about when meetings are going to be held, there's a lot of phantom meetings in there that were booked long ago, and it says the such and such group's going to meet in room 119. I know that's not happening. Nobody's meeting in room 119. So
Right.
in that program guide, I embed links to the agenda. I confirm that the meeting is actually happening and where it's going to be. So that program guide really acts as a resource to know what's coming up in town hall beyond whatever it is on TV 79. So I'm glad you click through. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
So, does anyone have any announcements?
Mac, I'm monitoring the meeting. Would like to know who's on the phone at 646-773-6518 so that we make sure the attendance, or if we have a
Okay.
guest, that we actually report that. So if
All
that's,
right, that's Brian Rahill.
oh, great. Thanks, Brian. Glad you're
Sure,
here.
thank you. Thanks.
No, thanks, Lois. But one thing that Lois brought to my attention, and I just wanted to throw it out as an announcement, is that the selectmen are looking at and thinking about some changes to the infamous snow shoveling law with sidewalks. And they had a discussion at their last meeting. And you can actually, Lois, if you'd repeat maybe the timing of that meeting. I mean, it's
I'll
so
send
many
you an email
minutes.
so you can forward it to everybody.
Okay. But it is interesting what they talk about. They're interested in maybe revamping the ordinance. They're realizing that it's somewhat unenforceable the way it's written today. You know, they're I don't know what all they're looking at. They are looking at the possibility of having the town actually do all the sidewalks, but then bill people back, things like that. So it's interesting. So we'll keep our eye on that, because we would definitely be involved in that if it came to rewriting the ordinance. So, okay. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
And
Lauren.
give a little bit of break now, and then we'll reconvene at 8 o'clock for the full RTM.
Got it. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Good,
you.
thanks,
Thank you.
Matt. Bye.